Hello, my friends. Got some Standing Liberty quarters here that are worn out real bad. These are all Type 1 design. Well, not the barber, but those four. And how you know if a Standing Liberty quarter is below the eagle, it's lower on the coin and it does not have stars below the eagle. So there's four of them that are 1917 likely. This is 1907. Denver, one of the early Denver coins. Uh, but these quarters I bought quite a while ago. Now we're going to look at some other stuff, and I'm also going to talk about this guy. This company came to town. This is Premier Gold Silver Buying. I had 4 tubes of these 1970 halves, or not 1970, but pre 1970, 65 to 69. Now, those coins are hard to sell. A lot of people do not want them. And for the reason being, hello, Bottle Top Bandit, that the 40% silver is just a low amount of silver. All right, here we have a barber with the date almost gone. I bought both these a while back, two for $8.50. Given that the melt on these is pretty high compared to then, because these were probably below melt when I bought them by a little bit. A quarter that wasn't worn as much might have been $5.50, but these were heavily worn. We're gonna look at some other stuff. I got this Tupperware style tub of coins I haven't looked at in a while. We're just gonna look at all of them. Now, the ones I put in that pile, you can see the stars underneath the eagle on them, on this one. This does not have that. So we'll continue on. One that's got a hole drilled right through the middle. It's 1935. No, Philadelphia. This is just a few random pieces, a dime and some Standing Liberty quarters that are worn out real bad. There's no price on the bag. I don't really know exactly what I paid for them. A couple walkers that are worn pretty bad. One's a 1920. And the other one has a 9 on it. But even this is 90% silver, and it's worth a bit over $30 by melt now. Quite a bit, actually. That one has a hole drilled in it. Walking Liberty. What is this other one? No, it's a barber. And then there's a Seated Liberty quarter there that is extremely worn out. Let's see what, if I can read the date on it. But I got to sell those 40% Kennedys. All right, this one's an 1854 with arrows, very worn out. This one is another 1854 that someone carved. This could be a Civil War love token. MTK maybe, or JK, I don't know. Rest of this stuff is just what it is. All right, the barber half. Dates scratched off. But even at that, this is probably worth about $28 in silver, maybe 30, because the melt value on silver. More Standing Liberty quarters that are worn pretty bad. More in here. What looks like a couple walkers with them. That's what it is. I think, pretty sure. Yeah, walker and another one. There's quite a bit of pieces of silver in this. There's another couple dollars face, couple walkers, and some more Standing Liberties. Oh, there's a nickel in that one. Old nickel, couple. Oh, Colombian, 1892. $50 and a walker. Standing Liberty quarter. This is just modern 60s, 64 and older, 90% silver with holes drilled in them. 2 Roosevelts and a 64 Washington. Here's 250 face of halves, probably all walkers. Well, that's a very worn out walker. And there's a barber, $50. I can see the O on the back of it. This is a New Orleans Mint. And then there's Mercury dimes in this. And a barber probably, or maybe a seated. And there's another barber dime. And the 2 in there is just $1.50. So, when I sold the 40% Kennedys, the guy told me a price. Because he weighed them all, and he's like, $685. And I thought he meant $685 a coin, which was pretty far below melt, but that's not what he meant. He meant 80 of them for him was worth $685. He's going to resell them. You divide this by 80, and it's $8.56, basically. Now, I've happened to go to one of my coin dealers who sells jewelry too, and I was telling him about it, and because he wanted to know what they were going to pay. I told him how much they paid for the 40% Kennedys, and he goes, "That's more than what I would be paying for them." And then today I went to my other coin dealer's shop, and he was sitting there, and somebody came in with some silver dollars, $50 64 Kennedy, and a 40% silver. And he only paid him $5 for the 40% one. Now, he paid more for the quarter or the 90% ones than what the guy told me that he would pay at the one, this thing. Because this guy said $50, like these, would be $20 or yeah, I think he said $20. And $10 for a quarter, which is pretty far below melt. But he paid pretty good for the 40% Kennedys. Now, how much is in this little thing? It's going to be hard to keep track of it. That's 60 cents and dimes. Oh, it'll be hard. $1.05 and 75, 250, two 225 and a nickel that's not silver. About $5 roughly. Two more dollars, 7. There's about 225 in that one, I think. So we're about $8-9. There's a couple of dollars at quarters in that. 3 more when you include the 2 halves. So about $12, 13 maybe. Then there's looks to be about $1.95 there, so 2 more dollars, 15 something dollars worth. And then 16, $17. And then how many quarters is in this stack? $1.75. So it sounds like I'm pretty close to about, in my opinion, or a rough estimate, about $20 worth of silver. Now, my main coin dealer guy said he would pay, or he paid the person $62 for their Morgan dollars each, which isn't real bad. And the 90% half dollars, he paid $24 for it. So that's 48 times face, and that's about $20. So if I wanted to sell all that stuff, $20 times 24. Oh, wait a second. I did the math wrong there. It's $20 times 48 times face. $9.60. That guy paid me for $40 worth of 40% coins, $6.85. So I thought that's not a bad price. It's not the greatest. I would have liked to get more, but it was actually more than I thought he was going to say. Because I was thinking more along the lines of maybe $8 a coin, which would have been $640. But he paid $45 more than that, so can't complain. Now, how much face value of silver, 90%, do you think you have? If the coin dealers will pay you 48 times face, and let's say you have $250 face value worth of 90% silver, which I know a lot of stackers probably have that much easy. 48. $12,000 worth of silver. With silver as high as it is right now, it's tempting to sell some, because silver could go down. I don't know that it will. Who can predict the future? It's bumping up and down $2, $3, $4, $5 an ounce on a daily basis sometimes. I mean, it gained $5 today, could lose $5 Monday. It's hard to predict. It's hard knowing. So, to anybody that thought the offer for 40% Kennedys was too low, all I have to say is it's a lot more than I paid for them originally. And if you hold out for the maximum amount you can get out of them, which is melt value probably. Melt value on them when I sold yesterday was for probably about $13 even, $12.89 maybe. So it was less than melt, but it was a lot more than I paid for them. And some coin dealers don't really like to buy 40% Kennedys too much because they're very common. There's really no key date to them. I mean, the 1970s a lot lower mintage for both the Proof, which is San Francisco, and the Denver one, but they're really not super collectible. Now, with some of these walkers and barber halves and quarters and stuff, some of that stuff does have a lot of collectible value, but everything in this bowl is all worn out so bad that right now all this is a bunch of silver weight. But silver weight has gone up a lot. Now, like I said, if you have $250 worth of this stuff by face value, and they're willing to pay you 48 times the face value at a coin shop, and you walk out with $12,000, and you're like, well, for one thing, you just can't go to the pizza shop and buy a pizza with this stuff. You can't really buy and sell much with this unless you're going to a guy who is really likes silver, and you go in there and say, hey, I got a $50, and the two pizzas I want to buy cost $30. Will you take a silver $50 for that? Well, if the owner guy loves silver, he might be willing to do that. He probably won't do it with everybody, because then it'd be like, well, I still need cash to pay my employees and stuff. And silver is not that liquid. It is pretty liquid, but it's not that liquid. And so you have to keep a pretty good size amount of cash on hand because almost anything can happen at any time. And if you tie every dime you make into silver, mega stacking. All right. What I was saying, if you tie every dollar you have, every spare dollar you have into buying a bunch of silver like this, and then let's say you have a car problem, and the repair shop says, well, this is going to be $2,000 to fix, and you don't have $2,000 in your bank account, you don't have $2,000 in an emergency savings fund somewhere, you don't have any savings, then you have to find a way to rally up and get that cash to pay for that repair or throw it on a charge card. Problem with charge cards is credit card is it's very expensive credit. A MasterCard could be 30, 28, 30%. I don't even know what the rates are on them because when I charge something on a charge card or a credit card, I typically pay it off every month. So I do not end up with a running balance because that's where they get you. And if you do that and you're running a balance, say I'll pay it off in 6 months or something, and then something else comes up and you're like, gotta charge this too. I don't have this. Pretty soon you're in a spiral where you can't pay it off, at least not quickly, so you're paying a lot of interest. Anyway, with a star note like this one, it's probably really common. All you have to do is go to your Google search and type in star note lookup. You can look this thing up, which I'm going to do, and if it turns out to be a rare one, low print, it could be worth something, but in this kind of shape, I'm thinking it's just a $5 bill, and it's probably not going to be worth anything at all, except for the little conversation piece about the star on it. But yeah, if you have a chance to sell some silver, And you're like, well, right now, the silver that the refiner people want is 3.9's fine. That's 90%. They don't really want that right now, and they definitely don't want the 40% or all the other weird different percentages like foreign silver comes in, which some of it's sterling, some of it's 90%, some is 0.835, 0.720, or 72%. You get 640 silver. You get some that are 50%, and then you get into stuff that's less than 50%. Most of the stuff that's less than 50% is usually dirt cheap because there's not a lot of silver in it. Yeah. Anyway, standing liberties. That's what that one is. And that one on that end. But problem with these, they're all worn and dateless, so the date's gone. So basically, this is now just a piece of silver. It doesn't have collector value. Yeah, these are probably all type 2s. In here, though, are some type 1s. And I'll show you. That one is a type 1. There's no stars underneath the eagle, so that's a type 1. There's 4 of them in this that are type 1s and a barber. Bought years ago. But anyway, that's pretty much covering the thing. And I did talk to the jeweler guy, and he was telling me, it's kind of hard to get rid of some of the silver, like this 90%. So because you can't really walk into a place, hand them over all the silver, get the money, and walk out. You have to arrange to send it off to a refiner, or maybe you sell it to a big distributor guy that buys a lot of this stuff and sells it to, like a middleman who buys this and then resells it to coin shops. We have had those kind of people come to town too. As it is with this company, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but when you're talking about Kennedy half dollars that are pre-70, they're 40% silver, it's not a super desirable silver coin. Getting rid of 80 of them and taking the cash and stuff allows me to build up my emergency savings some. You never know when you might need it. And at $8.52 a coin, it's quite a bit below melt, but I did not have very much in them, because when you buy them years ago when silver was a lot lower, you got them for $2 each or $2.50 or somewhere in between. And the guy says he'll pay you $8.52 for them. You're coming out way ahead, even though it is below melt. But the pre-70 Kennedy, it's just not a great coin to buy, really. It's just like war nickels. You don't really want to buy them either. And I want to say hello to Ordinary Man who just checked in. And thanks for subscribing, Omega Stacking. And Mr. Frog. And who else is on here? Zachary. Or was on here. And Brooks. And Bottle Top Bandit. Thank you all for stopping by while I talk about this. Selling 40% Kennedy half dollars for a big profit is not something I'm going to lose sleep over because, I sold them cheaper and I should have. Because I got rid of 80 of them at one time, which, if you run a sell on, say, like Facebook Market, or you post on Instagram and you're wanting to sell them, maybe somebody says they want to buy them, maybe they don't, but you may have to wait a while to get paid. The way it was, I went in, showed him the silver, he took account of it, made an offer, made a check, done, that quick. But anyway, I hope everyone has a good night because I don't want to stay live too much longer. And I want to thank everyone who stopped by. And I want you to think about that. If you buy a bunch of this stuff over the years and you don't keep very much of an emergency fund, in cash that you can readily get to and spend, very liquid, because cash is very liquid. I mean, if you have I don't know, some, 20s in an envelope tucked away somewhere, and say your car battery dies and new battery might be $200, go buy the car battery to $200, and then you don't have to sell your silver. Worst thing to have to do is to be faced with a big bill and have a bunch of silver like this and no cash, because then you have to go find somebody that wants to buy it and wants to buy enough to cover your problem. They may not want to buy that much, especially since right now the refiner is not taking 90%. They're not taking 40%. They're not taking anything except 3/9's fine. And there might even be a big backlog on that. It might take them a while before they process your silver and give you the price. The problem with that, oh yeah, silver rich, cash poor. You're exactly right, ordinary man. But if you're talking about 3/9's fine silver and you got 100 ounces at 80, well, actually it's 90 plus right now, 90 something dollars per ounce, and you've got 100 ounces, you got a pretty good sized stack of, potential money that you could use to buy stuff if you needed to. Like, I don't know, say something happened and your roof needs replacing because it's just old. Well, your insurance probably won't cover just old. Now, if a hailstorm and wind damage happens, they might cover that and replace it, pay to have it replaced. But if it's just worn out, you got to come up with the money yourself. It's just like, I don't know, say you have a problem with your drain on your house. It gets clogged. Can't be cleaned out because it's just broke. Because that can happen. The older your house is, the more chances of something bad happening. So you have to keep an emergency fund, because you don't want to have to go somewhere and say, I want to sell this. And the guy goes, well, I got a big stock of this stuff. I'm not buying right now. I'm trying to sell. And then I might buy some in a few weeks if I can sell off enough of this stuff to get me lower in stock. Because, I've heard coin dealers lately be saying that, or are saying, they're like, I don't really want to buy silver right now, or not much. I'm afraid it's going to drop and I want to get stuck with stuff that I paid over melt for and I can't sell for what I have in it, because then I'm losing money. And anybody that buys and sells this stuff all the time, they're not in it to lose money. They're not in it to break even. They're in it to actually make a profit. So they're what is a fair amount between what it's worth for junk like this and what they're willing to pay, and what is a fair amount. I I don't know what to tell you. Fair is in the eye of the beholder. And like I said, if I wanted to sell this, the one coin dealer I know go to often said he'll pay 20 or 48 times the face of this. So probably not this one though, it's damaged with a hole. But one that isn't damaged and isn't worn out and you can see a date on, he'll pay 24 for it. He's under melt for paying for it, but you can't make money if you pay full melt and then turn around and sell it at its full melt value, and that's the same amount. All you've done is paid somebody money and took the same money back. You've made Nothing. $0 doing that. So a gap of a few dollars back of melt and selling it at melt or a little above seems fair to me. Anyway, that's pretty much covered everything I want to talk about on that. You know, Zachary, you're right. The spread is kind of crazy. But if you bought over the last 8-10 years and you bought a little every week, you're bound to have bought a lot when it was around $14-18 an ounce. And if you're buying 1 ounce rounds, you know, at a time, once a week or once a month, whatever it was, it piles up. And if you've got it at $14 to $18, and you could take it to a coin shop today, and the guy goes, "Well, I'll give you $85 each for them," which is $8-9 below melt right now because of what silver's price is. That's pretty fair. If you want to hold out to where someone says, "I'll pay you exactly melt for it," it's probably going to have to be, you're going to have to sell it to someone you know that wants to buy silver. You're not going to be selling it to someone who's going to turn around and sell it themselves, because they have, you know, I don't know what your state is, but in this state, it's expected that you hold up to 10 business days, something. So if you have like this thing, it's 1992 San Francisco dime. Let's say you have a couple rolls of these, someone buys it from you, and you don't see the red on it. This is a silver dime. But if you have 2 rolls of those modern proofs and you went and sold them, they would have to hold these dimes, 2 tubes worth, $10 face. They'd have to hold that for 10 business days to make sure it's not reported stolen. That's what they said. And it's supposed to cover, you know, anything valuable pretty much. Now, yard sale type junk or something you might get at a flea market that's $2 or $3, and you sell something to a vendor, you're probably not going to have to hold it that long. But if it's something valuable, they're supposed to, just in case, because if it's stolen, you have to give it to back. So that's another thing they have to be wary of. But anyway, let's say nothing's wrong with it. You sell this 2 tubes of these, and the guy says, "I'll give you, I don't know, melts around 550, 6. I don't even remember what it is." But you take, so let's just say melt is $6 on this, and the guy says, "I'll give you $4.50 a piece for him." He has to hold them 10 days, and in 2 weeks something happens, and the silver market crashes $30. All of a sudden, something that was worth $6 is now worth less than he paid for it, and may never get back there. You don't know. It's hard to predict prices. They go up and down, and every time they've went up in the past, they usually retreat again. And of course, they have retreated some from where they were a few weeks ago when it was over $100 an ounce. But yeah. Oh, I didn't see that. Zach says the place by him buys for 40 times face. Well, 9%. That's what this guy was saying. He said he would pay $20 for $half, and he would pay $10 for quarters. Well, he's back quite a bit of melt on that, but he has to make money, and he traveled to get there. I don't even know where these guys are located. They have a website, but I didn't even bother looking it up. So I don't know if they have a brick and mortar store somewhere. or what they do. And they might just be like a distributor. He buys all that stuff and then he sends it off to coin dealers as they order it. I don't know. But the thing I do know is if silver goes down, those 40% Kennedys, I've done made a bunch of money on them. And if silver goes back down to where it was a year ago, 30 something dollars an ounce, I don't have to worry about that anymore, those coins. The 90%, well, I will have to worry if it drops all the way back there, except for one thing. I haven't bought any 90% to speak of in the last 3 or 4 months, basically. I bought a couple pieces here or there, but the bulk of all the stuff I bought was bought when silver was below 30, and most of it was around 14, 18, or $20 range per ounce. I don't have very much that I paid much more than that. And a lot of the junk silver in this was bought for about 20 times face at the most. So you're talking about $10 for a half, $5 for a quarter. So I don't have a lot in it. And for the most part, that whole thing full of silver, 20 something dollars face, I could sell if I wanted to and not really think about it too much because I don't have much attachment to it. It's just weight. And that is one thing to do. If you want to buy silver weight and be a stacker, just buy stuff that if you want to sell it, it's not going to hurt you. You're not going to go, oh man, I don't want to sell that coin, but I have to sell it. And then regret selling it later because you're like, man, I don't know if I'll ever be able to find one quite like that again. And that would be like this one guy I know bought a Seated Liberty dollar coin. I don't remember the year. It was a pretty high grade one of the more common years for them. But a Seated Liberty dollar is pretty rare. You don't see them on the market around here hardly ever, locally. I mean, there was a coin dealer who had some, but I don't know how many he had, but he had some because he told me he had some, but they were at that time $300, $400, $500 coins. Who knows what they are now? If it's a graded one and it's like Mint State or AU or something, it might be $500, $600. It might be $1,000. The Seated Liberty coin series has a lot of really low mintages on some of them. Through the half dimes, the dimes, the quarters, and the half dollars, and the dollar coins. All of them, the variance of the amount they made is a lot. Some of them they made millions. Some of them they made tens of thousands. That's why you should always, if you're going to do this, get a red book. And you can get a blue book one too if you want. It'll have the same kind of information in it. The red book's more like a retail price. The blue book's more like wholesale. This blue book is from 1973, and I love really old things like this. Oh, I had 2 sequential dollar bills in this that I forgot I had. I paid $1.50 to get this from a vendor type place. So what this will do, we go back and look at the mintages on some of these quarters. Seated Liberty quarters. You can see these dates. You go down that list. See that one up there is 932,000. That's a lot minted. You go down here, you're seeing tens of thousands and less. 8,000 of them. A Carson City one. And the without arrows, 1873, Carson Cities, 4,000 minted. It's not very much. You turn the page and you look at these $quarter here. You're talking the 1870s, 1880s, 1890s. Not very many minted during that time frame. It's probably going to be harder to find. Now, the Barbara halves, the mintages are generally higher. Although 188, 1896 San Francisco, that's a pretty low mintage. That 542 is too. But, you know, you can see some of these were minted in very high numbers. You know, 3, 4, 5, 6 million up on up. And I mean, a few of them were over 10 million. But I mean, I asked Google if it could tell me approximately how many of the Barbara coins still exist. They said 1 to 5% is what Google told me. I don't know if that's true. It might be. But if it is only 1 to 5%, it means ones like this 1901S, 72,000. If 1% of them exist, there's less than 100 or 1,000 of them around still. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's what they said on Google. I had done a search not long ago and asked them how many of the Barbara coins are known or approximately left, in existence, and that's what they said. Meanwhile, if you want to talk about the last year of the silver coins, you go here on the $quarter. You see 1964. You see 564 million of the 64 Philly and 700 million Denvers. Massive numbers of coins. Between the two, 1964, it's 1.2 something billion coins. It's crazy. And a lot of these other years, very few of them were less than about 10 million. So the Washington quarter is very common. And I have a feeling a lot more of them are still around than what there are Barbara coins. But I've went on for a while. Hope everyone's having a good night. I'm going to go ahead and pull this down for now, because it's pretty much all I got. But I am here to tell you, 40% Kennedys are not very desirable coins. Buying them today near their melt value is probably not a very good idea. In fact, I don't even think buying 90% coins at its current melt value is a great idea. Henceforth, I have not really been buying very many coins the last 3 or 4 months. A few here, a few there, but not very many. And it kind of puts a damper on my channel because I like to show new stuff that I just got, and I've not been getting very much. So I might buy something tomorrow if my coin dealer, he said he went to a coin show in a bigger city not too far from here, probably 150 miles drive. But if he went there, he could have got something kind of neat, something that might be, a lot more rare than just general silver stack coins like all the stuff in this. There isn't too much in this that's you could call rare. In fact, I don't think there really is any rare coins in that. But that's pretty much all I have for tonight. I hope everyone has a good night, because that's all I got.